Hari Om and a warm welcome to everybody. Hari Om Veji. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Brahmachari Ved Chaitanya ji. A young scholar and a dynamic speaker, Vedji's magic lies in his ability to blend Vedic insights in an engaging and relatable teaching style. Vedji is currently the Upa Acharya of the 1-year residential program, the Vedanta Sadhaka course at Chinmaya International Foundation. With wisdom and warmth, Vedji makes Vedanta come alive. So let's explore religion versus spirituality. Hari Om Vedji. Vedji, religion and spirituality, these are very familiar everyday words. Yet, we don't know the meaning of these words fully. Some of us use it interchangeably, while some of us use it distinctly. For example, viewers, if I say the word religious, what comes to mind? Temple, puja. But when I say spirituality, we think of meditation, the Himalayas, caves. So to begin with, please help us understand, are religion and spirituality the same?
See, actually, Hari Om to all. Actually, this is a very broad topic, and I am not sure whether we will be able to cover in 1 hour all the aspects related to this topic, but we will try to cover at least the most important portions. See, first thing, let us go into understanding whether these terms which are in English, spirituality and religion, whether they capture what we want to say. In Indian culture, we have word for spirituality called Adhyatma Shastra. And Adhyatma is again very well-known word. Adhyatma means that which pertains to oneself. Atma. Adi means pertaining to. Atma means oneself. That which pertains to me is called as Adhyatma. Now, spirituality also has a similar connotation, similar meaning. But it is a very wide spread meaning which is given in that small word called spirituality. So when I say I am spiritual, though things come to our mind like meditating or going to Himalayas, etc. But is that what is spirituality? That also can be spirituality, but there can be many other ways of doing it. Same thing with religion also. They say religion word comes from religio, Latin word which means reverence to God, or our way of saying thank you to that higher power. This is the general meaning of religion that is given. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to take it, the word religion doesn't have any similar word in Sanskrit, because the concept of religion itself is not there in our scriptures. Though we nowadays use the word dharma when it comes to religion, and therefore we say Hindu dharma, Islam dharma, Christianity dharma. But this dharma word which comes in our scriptures is not in the meaning of religion at all. So it will be impossible for us to understand what exactly is the Sanskrit equivalent of the word religion. But let us understand the concept little bit deeper. See, Pujya Gurudev explains this very beautifully. He says for any science, there are two aspects. One is called as the theoretical or the technical aspect, and another is called as the practical or application aspect. So whether it is physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, any kind of science, there is one theoretical aspect and one practical aspect. And both aspects together makes that science. If you take just one part of it, it may not actually communicate what that science is completely. Now, the technical or theoretical aspect of this spiritual science, Adhyatma Shastra, is called as philosophy. In Sanskrit, the term is Darshana Shastra. Darshana is philosophy. And the practical or the application aspect of that philosophy is called as rituals or ritualistic aspect. Upasana, we can say, broad term which will include everything. So, Darshana and Upasana. Now, both these aspects put together, we can consider it as a spirituality, or we can even call it as religion. Why I am saying spirituality or religion? Because you see, the spirituality and religion are two ways of looking at the same thing.
we have a science which deals with the theoretical and the practical aspect. If you look at that science from the theoretical perspective, it is called as spirituality. And when you look at the same science from the application or practical perspective, it is called religion. So, in other words, you can say spirituality is the philosophy behind rituals. And you can say religion is the practicality of the philosophy or philosophy in action. So, are these two different? In a way different because you are looking at from different angles. But in a way, they both are same because they both have two aspects. One is the theoretical aspect and another that is practical aspect. Mind you, again I am telling, without the other aspect, the one aspect has no meaning. Without practicality, theory has no meaning. Without the theory, practical has no meaning. So, religion or spirituality has both aspects in it, if we are okay to say that. Okay, so that is basically the understanding of spirituality and religion. So, in a way they are same, but in a way they are different also because of the way that we are looking or we are approaching those terms.
Thank you, Veji. So, if religion is not separate from spirituality, then it raises a very important question. Today, globally, there is a rising trend to identify as SBNR, spiritual but not religious. Can I be spiritual without being religious? Is it possible?
See, now again little bit of background we must understand to get to this. Alright. Number one, religion that we understand today is a set of beliefs, customs, traditions that have been fixed over generations by the people who are following them. So, when we say, nowadays we say Hindu religion or Islam as religion or Christianity or Buddhism as religion. Now, these are the set of rules. Maybe they have all started with the similar thought that philosophy has to be brought into practice. And the moment you try to bring the philosophy into practice, how are you going to bring it? There are certain rules that are created, certain actions that are created. Now, over generations, these rules have been formulated and have been made into a system. That is what is called today as a religion. Now, there are many people who will say, but I don't want to follow the set of rules which are, so to say, formed and very rigid. And therefore, the person's intention is to say that I am not religious because I don't want to follow that, but I am spiritual. I understand from where it is coming, but actually speaking, we can't be just spiritual without being religious. You may not be able to follow or you don't want to follow a definite set of rules or customs or traditions which have been laid down. Yes, but you will still follow whatever you think is right. So, in a way, you have created your own religion. Why? Because that is the way you want to practice spirituality. So, to say that I am spiritual but not religious is not possible. Yes, you will not fit into an outside structure of religion. Yes, you are not following a particular religion and their customs and traditions. You don't want to, or you don't understand, or whatever may be the reason. There can be different reasons. But I am not following them and I am saying that I am spiritual only. Now, there is little bit of misunderstanding or less understanding that the person has, why that person is saying this. I understand from where the thought is coming, and I appreciate that idea also, because everybody doesn't have to follow the set of rules which are laid down. Everybody's mind is not wired like that. So, that is fine, but still we will follow certain rules. We cannot just be spiritual. We cannot just say that, okay, I am studying philosophy and just by studying philosophy without any practice, I am going to reach the goal of spirituality. That's not possible, right? So I understand from where that whatever the short form you said, spiritual but not religious, SBNR, whatever that is, I understand from where it is coming. Now, there is another aspect of it also I would like to touch upon before we go forward. Many times what happens, the world points out to us only the negative aspects of our religion. And therefore, we hesitate to say that I belong to this religion. You see, the world is what the world is. You can't really change it, nor can you complain about it. Right? But having said that, one genuine question that you must ask yourself, and that is, do I consider my religion to be like this? Do I think that my religion is just a set of blind beliefs or, some superstitions that people are following? So, for me to say that I am not religious, I must first understand what exactly is my religion. I often say that even to disregard something or even to say that I am not for it or I am against it, I must first understand what is it. Once you understand what is it, you don't like it, you dismiss it, that's fine. That's fine. But we must first understand what is it. And therefore, I feel it has become a fad, so to say, in the world to say that I am not religious. I think it is time to go back to the older version and say I am a proud practitioner and I am a proud practicing Hindu. Whichever religion you are following, I am saying it because that is the religion that the religious practices that I follow. Why? Because having understood the religious aspects and what the philosophy they are trying to, communicate, I don't feel we should be ashamed of anything. Yes, in every religion there will be some kind of wrong customs, blind beliefs, superstitions which will creep in. Yes, that happens in every single place. We remove them and we take the rest of it and still remain religious.
That was exactly the point. If religious practices and spirituality need to support each other, then why this divide? Are there religious practices today which are not correct?
Why the divide? The divide actually is because, see, there are different kinds of people in the world. Not everybody will understand the philosophy. And therefore, the religious practices make it accessible even for those people who cannot understand philosophy. So what do religious practices do? They say, okay, you don't understand the logic behind it, leave the logic, do it. Do this and you will reach the same goal. That the other person who is an intelligent person or intellectual person who wants to understand and therefore studying, what that person is going to reach, you can also reach without that understanding also. See, it is like, let me give a little bit of explanation on this. We say theoretical aspect and practical aspect. Now, we all know there are some people who are very good with theoretical aspect. Okay, they are, take anything, for example, let us say music, for example. There will be some people who are technically very sound and they will have lot of theoretical knowledge of music. So, suppose somebody, starts to sing, they will tell that this is this raga and this raga is supposed to be sung in the morning time and it has these swaras in the aroha, these swaras in avaroha. Technically, everything perfect. You ask them the question, can you sing the raga? They will say, no, I cannot. They have the theoretical knowledge, but they have not got practical knowledge. Whereas there can be somebody who sings very beautifully, voice is very good, sticks to the raga, but may not know the understanding of the theory which the other person may know. Now, if you limit music to only practice or only theory, there will be one side of the people who will remain away from that music. And therefore, music gives both. You want to study theory, study theory. You want to study practice and practice it for yourself, you do that. I always remember, when I was studying in college, in our Chinmay Yuva Kendra group, one girl came from Mauritius, Rani, and she was studying in Pune, where I was also studying, and one day when after the Yuva Kendra class, we were just sitting and singing some bhajans and I was playing tabla, And Rani was continuously looking at that tabla, and I didn't understand what is so special about it. So after the class, she comes and she says, can I touch this? I said, yeah, what is there? It is very simple. And she said, you know what, in my BA, I had a subject called tabla. And I have studied 3 years of tabla, but this is the first time I am seeing actual tabla.
Oh my God.
She knew the history of tabla and the drawing of tabla and mentioning the parts of tabla. She knew it way better than me. But I was practicing tabla. I did not know so much of theory which she probably knew. So what I am saying is, if we limit the science to something, either the theoretical people will not be part of it or the practical people will not be part of it. Similarly, if we say that only those people should reach moksha who understand the spirituality, then what about so many other people who are very simple, God-loving people, and they are just following? So the religion takes those people also into fold and says that you want to reach, you can still reach. It is not necessary that you have to be very technically sound or intellectual people to reach that. Why? Because there are so many different paths to reach the same goal. So religious practices allow that aspect or those kind of people also to come into the fold. Spirituality or the technical or the philosophical side also offers certain, aspect to the entire theme, and therefore people who love that can do that. And that is why it is like this. Now, you asked a question, are all religious practices that are there now, are they correct?
Yes.
No. They will never be. At no point of time in history, everything is correct in the world. Never. There will be some things which are correct. There will be some things which need improvement. Why to go about religion and world, etc.? If I ask you simple question, is everything in your home correctly at correct place? Is everything happening properly? Is everything working correctly? No. There will be many things which will be fine. There will be some things which will need some correction, some editing, some deletion. Something will be required. But let me tell you one more thing. Is everything in spirituality correct? No. Because just as there are different ways of spiritual practices, there are different philosophies also. Are all philosophies pointing to the same goal? No. Are all philosophies telling the same point? No. And therefore, this comes as a freedom of choice, what kind of goal or what kind of philosophy I want to understand and what kind of practices I want to follow. To say that there is a religion where all practices of that religion are correct is a false statement. It is not possible. Yes, what might have started would have been correct, but always few things creep in, as I was mentioning, which may not be, correct according to the philosophy. And therefore, I won't say that all religious practices are correct.
So our beliefs, customs, traditions which make up these religious practices, not all of them are correct. But now this leads us to a bigger question. Then what about religion itself? There are so many religions in this world. Are all religions leading to the same goal? Are they all the same?
See, in India, in Bharat, we have been taught from childhood, and I am sure in other places also it is taught, all religions are same. Okay? Let me tell you, all religions are not same. And they cannot be same. See, that's the whole point of all religions. If all religions are same, then it becomes one religion. They cannot be same. That is why there are so many religions. So there is absolutely no doubt that all religions are not same. All religions are not pointing out to the same goal. Each religion is pointing out to the goal that they consider to be the best or that they consider to be something that they want to reach. Now, it's not right on our part to decide which religion is pointing out to the right goal and which religion, because for that we need to understand all religions correctly, practice them, actually reach the goal, and then we can say that, okay, this is not right. We are not judges to decide that this is right, that is wrong. See, we do not even have sufficient data nor the sufficient authority to decide what is right, what is wrong. But one thing very clear is all religions are not same. They do not, yes, certain aspects of religion which is like values, let us say, will be common. See, for example, you should speak truth. This will be there in all religions. But these are some of the values which will be common in all religions. That doesn't make all religions same. So please, if from this entire Samvada, if one thought you take it back and make sure that you understand correctly and the other people also who are in contact with you understand that all religions are not same. They cannot be same. They are not supposed to be same. Okay, all religions are different because they are different paths to reach the goal, and each person, see, if you see how the religions have been formed also, there was a religion in existence and some, master or some thinker or some prophet, they thought that there is some problem with this religion, therefore there should be different set of customs, different set of practices, and they started a new religion. So it has come from one old religion and it has come because there are some differences. If you say that I am still going to follow the same points that the previous, then what is the meaning of having the different religion? It is the same religion. So there are differences in religion, and we don't have to decide whether any religion is good or bad.
Then as a seeker, there are so many choices lying in front of a seeker. So what is the path? What is the goal? How does a seeker choose a religion and the theory or the spiritual path to walk on?
See, this question will come only to a theoretical seeker. Okay, practical seeker is very happy following what the parents and the grandparents have told, and they will probably reach faster than all the intellectual people who are discussing about which part to follow. See, there are always some of us who always are into the let me first understand the whole thing, then we will start. So when we want to go to some trip, etc., we first discuss, sit and plan and plan and plan, and by the time we complete planning, the other person who is a simple one has already reached the destination. It always happens. So let me tell you one thing, when you ask this question, it is only coming to an intellectual person who is, so to say, studying the philosophy and wanting to know which is the correct practical path for me. Alright? The people who are following the spiritual, the religious practices probably will not get this thought.
True.
There is a possibility that when they follow practices for a long time, they may get a thought about what philosophy is, and they may come to philosophy. It is 100% possible. It happens also, but they will never get this thought that what path should I follow. Now, whichever path helps me in practicing what I believe or what the scriptures are saying to be true, that is the best path for me. Again, there is no one practical path for one philosophy. The same philosophical concept can be practiced in many, many ways. So the question that the seeker has to ask is, which is the path for me? Please do not ask this question, which is the best path, because there is nothing called as best path. The question is, which is the best path for me? And the answer each one has to find out, because what will be the best path for me may not be the best path for somebody else. And that's the beauty of this particular land of Bharata, where you may remain spiritual, remain religious, and still choose the path that you want to follow. In most of the religions other than the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the moment you go against a single path that they are prescribing, you are out of religion.
Correct.
That is not there in Bharata, that is not there in Sanatana Dharma. You may still have the same philosophy, same goal, but take a different path, remain religious, and reach the goal. Now, how do I choose which is the path for me? Now, these paths to reach the ultimate goal is a different topic in itself. Okay, so I am not going to go much elaborate on that, but I will just hint that there is karma yoga, there is bhakti yoga, there is ashtanga yoga, there is jnana yoga, the path of action, the path of devotion, the path of path of discipline, and the path of knowledge. Now, Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanji explains this very beautifully. He says that the person who is very much focused on the body and is a physical kind of person should take to karma yoga, because that comes naturally to that person. Person who is having emotions at the helm of the whole thing, and therefore emotions dictate how that person is going to be, such a person should choose path of devotion, because love comes natural to that person. A person who wants to train the mind and forcefully put, somebody who likes discipline, somebody who says that no means no and I am going to do this, such a person is best suited for Ashtanga Yoga. And a person who is intellectual person, is driven by the thinking, should take to the path of Jnana Yoga. Having said this, a seeker can even combine these paths and practice also. That maybe my main thing is this, but other things are complementary, supplementary to my path, and even then I can still choose the path that I want to take to reach the goal. One important thing that we should never forget while choosing the path is the philosophy that I believe in, the spiritual side of the coin. Is it getting correctly translated into the practicality? Is it correctly translating? Which means what? Sometimes I believe in something, but when it comes to practicality, I forget what I believe in and I start going to some other direction. Then that spiritual practice will not help me to reach the same goal, because I have taken a detour. So one thing that we need to always remember is that spiritual belief or the philosophical understanding that I have, is it getting correctly translated into the practical action that I am doing? As long as it is getting translated correctly, there is no problem in practicing that custom, that tradition, or that upasana.
Beautiful, Veji. So then this leads me to explore, how does spirituality and religion look in everyday life? For example, religion feels like a set of do's and don'ts. Okay? Don't face south, face east, light a lamp, ring a bell. These seems to be religious practices. While spirituality feels like, journaling under a tree, finding inner peace on a quiet walk. So does spirituality give me more freedom in expressing than religious practices?
I won't say that spirituality gives more freedom than religion. As I said, see, technically speaking, spirituality and religion are same. That is where we started. Okay. Correct. Now we are only focusing on the different aspects. Are we focusing on the philosophical aspect? Then we are calling it as spirituality. If we are focusing on the ritualistic aspect, that's what we are calling as religion. First thing that I must understand is these two are meant for two different kinds of minds. The mind which loves to do actions, okay, will find rituals very easy. It is the technical mind or the theoretical mind which will say that there are too many rules in rituals. That you have to face south only and not north, or you have to face east only and do this only and do that only. It is that kind of mind which will say that, oh, there are too many things. But somebody who likes that, they will say that's fine. That's how things are. And for them, it will come natural. So it's not about what is giving you more freedom. It's about, it is giving freedom to whom. If my mind is set up in such a way, or my mind and intellect is such that I just want to remain quiet, remain alone, think about the philosophical aspects, look in the world but not get involved in the world, the so-called introverts, the so-called quiet peoples. For them, spirituality may offer more freedom because that comes natural to them. For them, religious practices will be too much of binding. But there are other kind of people also who say that for me, going out and contacting people and getting involved in things, doing puja and doing it together, for them that comes natural. Then for them spirituality will be binding. Because they say, you ask such a person, go under a tree and reflect on these 4 questions. They will say, what am I supposed to do? They will get mad there. So it's not about which one is offering more freedom. It is which one is offering freedom to whom. So a mind which is meant for this will get more freedom in spirituality, which a mind which is, easy. There are so many people, for them rituals come very natural. And it doesn't even look like they are thinking too much while doing it. Whereas for some people, when there are many people who study Vedanta and they learn how to do puja, and it is very interesting how they do puja for the first 2-3 times, because then they are all over the place. My head should be here, my face should be where, what should I be chanting? Why? Because it doesn't come natural. But let me tell you one more thing. Nothing comes natural to us. Something we say is natural to us because we have been practicing it over time. And this is a new thing that we are taking up, and therefore we feel that it is not natural. Who to say that you do that for a longer time and it will not become natural to us? Who to say that? I'll give you my own example. When I was studying in, that young mind when I am engineering, and I used to hate doing puja. Forget about doing. I used to hate sitting in the puja when somebody else is doing. And I used to feel, what are they doing? Why so much of thing? And in my home itself, the puja, etc. used to happen, and my mother, my father, whoever is doing, and I used to feel, what are they doing? And I used to make fun of them, sometimes tease them also, sometimes really get angry and say, by this you will not reach the goal, study Gurudev's words. And my mother quietly used to say that one day you will understand, one day you will understand. And I used to get even more angry, saying that, what do you mean one day? You think I don't know, you think you know. Because in that haste of thinking that I know everything, you don't understand the other side of it. It is only when I joined Sandipani, and I still remember when I saw Swami Shardananji doing puja for the first time, and I was like, what just happened? I enjoyed puja, how I sat there for 2.5 hours of puja without getting bored. What is happening? Now when I started doing it, I thought this is wonderful. For a long time, I had a feeling that this is not natural to me. Going to temple, sitting for puja, doing bhajan is not natural. I had to do it because I was playing tabla, so they used to force me. They wanted somebody to accompany, and I used to get very bored sitting there and playing tabla for all the bhajans that they used to sing initially. But then I said, this is wonderful. So unless you do something, how can you say that it doesn't come natural to me? Yes, initially it will be difficult. It will be difficult when we learn cycling for the first time, or riding for the first time, or driving for the first time. It is difficult. It appears to be difficult. Why? Because there are too many things. I have to paddle also and make sure that my balance is also correct, and the cycle should go also, and I have to make sure that I am not hitting anybody. Initially it will look, but then from effort it will become effortless. Same is true for all religious practices. Same is true for all spiritual sadhanas also. Meditation does not come natural to many people. That doesn't mean I should not practice meditation. Just as puja doesn't come natural to me, but I am still doing it so that one day it will become natural. Same way for meditation also. Meditation also initially looks too difficult for some people, that I have to control my mind, and then the eyes are going somewhere and ears are hearing something, and this is exactly what a person feels when he is sitting for puja, that I don't understand, because suddenly things are coming from all sides. So whether in spiritual practices or in religious practices, there are going to be some difficulties, some things that we say that they are not natural to me, but over time through practice they become natural.
Fair enough. So this is a complete package, theory and practice, a complete package. Okay, so one tip for somebody who is struggling with religious practices. How can we make them, like Vijay said, when we start it is hard. How can we get better at it? How can we stick with it? Or how can we identify ones that will work for us and stick with it and get to the goal that we want to reach?
Good question. See, the thing is, if I am already understanding or studying philosophy and then trying to practice puja or whatever upasana method that I am trying, I must keep my focus on the philosophical side of it. Yes, when it comes to practicality, action, when you say, there will be lot of things involved. Keep your focus on the philosophical side of it. What am I doing in puja? In puja, I am meditating on the God which is my own self, But because many times meditating on the formless becomes difficult, I have a form in front of me, I invoke the God within me into that form and I worship that form. Keeping that philosophical thought same, you start doing it. Initially, you may make some mistakes in the action, which is fine as long as your intention is correct. Okay? Action by default cannot be perfect. So there will be some kind of limitation, some kind of shortcoming in every action. I am not saying that therefore do an imperfect action. I am not saying that. You try to bring as much perfection into the action as possible, but do not worry too much. See, God is not going to be angry on you because you did this step before that step. Or you never offered Naivedya but you are offering Tambulam, no problem. God is fine with eating Tambulam first and then eating Naivedya after that also. He is okay with it. Why? Because it is love that is communicating. See, there's one story in Mahabharata when Sri Krishna went to Hastinapura as a messenger, and he decided that he doesn't want to stay in any of the palaces, but he decided to stay at Vidurji's house. And when so that came as a sudden thing, because they had already planned that he is going to stay in Dushasana's palace, which was the best one, and they had offered. And suddenly Bhagavan came and said, I am not staying here, I am coming to your house. And Vidurji was not prepared for that at all, because he never thought that mine is not even in the list. If he doesn't stay here, then there are 4 or 5 other places that he would. So suddenly when it came and Shri Krishna came to his home, he lost track of actions. You imagine Bhagavan is coming to your home, and it is said that all the fruits etc. which were kept to be offered to Bhagavan, and he was so much overwhelmed by the fact that Bhagavan is in front of him, he started peeling off the skin of the fruit. Instead of offering the fruit, he offered the skin of the fruit to Bhagavan and removing the fruit and putting it into dustbin, and he didn't even realize. Bhagavan ate the skin. Even Bhagavan did not say that, hey, what are you, why? Because Bhagavan understood that love. So when you have that love, do not worry too much about the action. Yes, try to bring perfection into action. If you are a truly spiritual person, then to focus and to make sure that your action is perfect is part of spirituality. You study Vedanta, Vedanta teaches you how to remain focused in the present. So today or tomorrow by practice, action is going to be perfect as much as each one of us can do. But don't worry too much about it. Don't even think that Bhagavan is going to be angry on you because you did not do something properly. No, you are worshipping, that itself Bhagavan is happy with. Instead of going out and doing something, you are worshipping, that itself is a great thing. So do not worry. Spiritual practices you might be doing, but the religious practices, they are wonderful because they actually teach us how philosophy can be practiced. Many times just by studying philosophy, we will not understand what spirituality is. And therefore, some of these practices, religious practices, etc., are absolutely necessary for a person to be spiritual. Because that actually tells us where are we and what are we doing. So, that is the tip.
Beautiful. So, if somebody is on the ritualistic side, at what point does that path merge into spirituality? Does it, will it?
Depends. For some people, it may not. Because their love will be so strong that they don't need to understand. For some people it may. For some people it may happen very early also. That they started on the path and very quickly they switched towards this because they started having questions. Why am I doing this? Why that? Why that? The moment questions start to come, you automatically come to philosophy. The moment you start asking the question why, then you start coming to philosophy. So, there is no one place where these two paths are going to merge. It may be different for each person. And I am saying, let us not even worry about when are they going to merge or are they going to merge. Whichever path we have chosen or whichever path suits us, we keep walking. We keep walking, eventually whatever has to happen will happen. That is it.
Beautiful. Great, Vedji. We do have a few minutes left. Can we try a quick round of rapid fire questions? Brief answers.
All
One
right.
or two lines.
No, I will try to give brief answers, but let me tell you that they may require longer explanations, which I cannot give. Okay. So, okay, all right,
No,
shoot.
which is fine. Maybe we'll come back to the ones that need longer answers. But let's start with this.
Right.
Is reading Bhagavad Gita being spiritual or religious?
It can be both.
Oh no, I need an explanation. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Are rituals necessary for spiritual growth or are they purely religious?
No, they are necessary.
Are morality and ethics derived more from religion or spirituality?
From both. They will have their basis in the philosophy, but also according to the society that is there at that moment, morality also is derived from, and laws are also derived from that. So they are derived from both.
Is spirituality more individualistic while religion is more community based?
It may look like that, but eventually both are individualistic. In the sense that in both, individual has to focus on the individual.
Individual has to focus on the individual. Okay. In terms of crisis, do people turn to religion or spirituality?
Depends on the people. There are people who will, as I said, they naturally are God-loving people and therefore they will turn to religion. Whereas there are people who are intellectuals and therefore they will turn to philosophy and spirituality.
Is spiritual more experiential while religious is more doctrinal?
Again, it may be perceived like that, but not necessarily. Spirituality also has got a lot of doctrines in it, which people don't really understand till they go deeper into it.
Does religion's tight structure cloud its spiritual intent?
It may. Sometimes it does, because see, as I said, the theory and practical has got its own pros and cons. And the pros for action is it becomes natural and everybody can do it. But the flip side of it is you may continue to focus on the action and forget the purpose for which the action is done. Then it will cloud.
Okay, great. So I'm very satisfied with the one-line answers. Thank you. Can we go back to, I would like a little more clarification on, is reading Bhagavad Gita being spiritual or religious?
See, it depends on the intention of the person that wants to read. Suppose, for example, I have studied Bhagavad Gita and therefore I am reading Bhagavad Gita. For me, it is the philosophical thoughts that are going through in my mind when I am reading the Bhagavad Gita. Then it is a spiritual experience. But for many of us, it can just be that Bhagavan Shri Krishna has said it. These are divine words. Whether I understand the meaning or not, whether I am pronouncing it correctly or not, it gives me a sense of love. It gives me a sense of satisfaction to say what Bhagavan Shri Krishna has said. And therefore, chanting of Bhagavad Gita, then it will be a religious experience. So it depends on the intention of the person. Actually speaking, every single action is like this. Doing puja, is it religious activity or spiritual activity? It depends.
Instinctively religious.
No, it is not. That's what I'm saying. If the intention of the person who is doing, if he understands the philosophy and therefore is doing, then it does not remain religious activity. For the people who are watching, maybe